Dear colleagues, I would like to tell you today about communicative management at present-day university. In present-day conditions, university managers must have communicative, managerial competencies, knowledge of communication theory, and applied approaches to the process of its implementation. Mastering the skills of communicative influence contributes to the formation of a positive image of an institution and helps to achieve educational goals. Communication is one of the prerequisites for successful management of a modern university. The process of continuous exchange of information and mechanism of effective decision-making and communication between the subject of internal and external settings. The role of communicative management in the academic setting lies in the interaction of all participants in the learning process. Nowadays, communicative management has a more formal, declarative expression despite a large number of theoretical and practical research and study aids. The essence of communicative management in the learning setting lies in implementing a purposeful, reasonable, and informative influence of the subject on the object, making management decisions, mastering quality methods and tools. The purpose of the article is to demonstrate the essence of communicative management, to substantiate the peculiarities of its development in the academic setting, as well as to describe on the basis of practical research experiment the modern vision of participants of the educational process, the dynamics and prospects of communicative management in the present-day university. This systematically organized communication process allows to ensure the coordinated work of all structural units of the university, to improve communication skills, to overcome communication barriers in the process of management functions optimization. Management functions are relatively separate areas of management, allowing you to influence the management object to achieve the goal. Andy Fayol, one of the founders of the management theory, distinguished the following management functions: planning, organization, motivation, coordination, and control. In the communicative management, these basic functions include definition of communication goals and ways to achieve them, organization of communicative actions, motivation for communicative collaboration, coordination of interaction of all participants of the learning process, control over the course of professional communication, adjustment of its result. Communicative management is a professional activity aimed at achieving effective communication within the university as well as with the external setting through the implementation of communication policy. Communication policy involves defining the goals of communication, ways to achieve them, the content of information, and the quality of feedback. We conducted a survey in Ternopil, Volodymyr Hnatiuk National Pedagogical University, in which 623 respondents took part. It was aimed at discovering the level of understanding the processes underlying communicative management, participation in decision-making, and setting the university development strategies. The research shows that respondents focus on the need for modern forms of communication in academic management processes. The students consider interpersonal, person-to-person communication the most productive form of communication in the educational environment, which indicates the participants' willingness to interact with each other. Group and intergroup purpose communication are, on the contrary, the least productive. In the student's opinion, interpersonal contacts and interaction are the most productive ways of managerial communication in modern academia. This is natural because attention to the educational needs of students is rather a request that has formed a student-centered approach, the philosophy of modern progressive universities. The features most clearly characterizing academic communication, in the opinion of the respondents, are flexibility and student certainness, which provide comfortable conditions to interact, develop students' individual trajectories, achieve both personal and professional goals. Public forms of communication, such as public speeches, presentations, social networking, etc., have become of huge importance. This vision reflects close connection between the academic environment and the social, internal and external one. It is quite bold and brave to interpret to the university in terms of communication as team in which each participant is interested in achieving results through the expression of their ideas, considerations, and actions in designing and making management decisions. As we can see, the students demonstrate not only self-sufficiency, but also willingness to take responsibility for the organization of the learning process, try to be passive, try not passive but active participants, and most importantly, to influence management decisions through communication. On the other hand, it is comforting that respondents are aware of the dynamic of the learning process, understand that it is an open, not a static system that responds to external and internal changes, thus constantly changing, updating, and improving. The choice of the option cultural setting indicates a shift of emphasis from the pragmatic to cultural value aspects. In this, we see the respondents' deeper understanding of the tasks and the mission of a modern university being not only an institution where education is obtained and competencies are formed, but also a space in which values of educated people and elites are judged. Understanding of the university from a communicative point of view, as we can see, majority of the respondents consider contradiction between expectations and real messages to be the main barrier in establishing effective academic communication. We think this contradiction can be overcome by monitoring not the very course of the learning process, but the attitudes, plans, and goals set by students while being in the status of applicants. Fairly frequent answers about not realizing the importance of messages, their content, as well as not meeting communication needs as serious obstacles to establishing productive interaction in modern university proved to be rather expected. We found such consideration of students earlier while teaching the courses public communication, management, and in education, rhetoric, the Ukrainian language for professional purposes, etc. Thus, we should not underestimate the importance of the linguistic aspect in the academic communication. Mastery of arsenal of communicative strategies and tactics, communicative qualities of a language. For example, accuracy, conciseness, emotionality, expressiveness, etc. Rhetorical knowledge and skills, and so on. The respondents' treatment of the essence of communicative management showed a certain polarity. On the one hand, there still exists the stereotype of authoritarian government in academia, where subordination and hierarchy are reflected in communication as well as in the learning process. On the other hand, a democratic, progressive vision of management processes in a modern university is reduced to the rational interaction of all participants endowed with an appropriate level of linguistic and communicative competencies. Most respondents understand communication as a mechanism to transmit information as well as to cooperate, collaborate, and achieve common results. The results of the research showed the students' need for a deeper study of the communicative management resources to achieve effective academic interaction, to gain professional experience, communication management practices, which can later be implemented in professional activities. In the current conditions for the university to increase its competitiveness in the labor market, special attention should be paid to intensifying the process of communication management. It allows to identify the most effective mechanism of interaction of all participants in the learning process in the internal setting of the university, helps to overcome communication barriers, to develop a corporate academic culture. According to the results of the research, students strive for constructive communication due to their active communicative position and awareness of responsibility. They are interested in situations in which collective management decisions are made. At the same time, it is important to ensure that in the process of academic communication, the expectation of all participants of learning process are justified, interests are satisfied, and results are achieved. As managers of present-day universities shape the purpose of educational activities and ensure its achievement, the conceptual, communicative, and managerial competences affect the achievement of the goals of higher education institutions. In fact, communicative management allows to establish connection and communication from the organizational structure, a system of information exchange in academia, and meet the needs of the management process in general and each participant in particular. The university's relations with external entities are the key to success in possession itself in a broad educational discourse. This contribute to the optimization of management processes, the development of the university through the powers of communicative management. So, thank you so much, dear colleagues, for your attention.